Okay, well, hello and a warm welcome to Meaning of Life Live with myself, Ashok Gupta. I'm so pleased that you could be with us today. And as you know, here at Meaning of Life Live, we're building a conscious change family, which means transforming ourselves, helping transform our communities and society, and ultimately helping transform the planet. And as part of our Meaning of Life Live events, we're going to be having lots of discussions about topics in the news, as well as some interviews with people who are those change leaders. So those people who are inspiring us and uplifting us in those three areas of transforming ourselves and transforming the people around us, who have a genuine care for helping others and the planet. They come from their heart. And so I'm delighted today to have with us one of those change leaders, Ione Butler, who is co-founder of Uplifting Content. Now, I know a lot of you are already subscribers to their website and their Facebook page. And Uplifting Content is a digital media platform that creates uplifting viral content with a positive message. Now, Ione is a fellow Brit from London who now lives in LA. And she's an actress who has starred in many TV shows and movies, including the CSI franchise and the acclaimed movie The Adored, for which she was nominated for the Best Actress Award at the Iris Film Festival. She's also a TV host, voiceover artist, and a proficient vlogger. And a few weeks ago, myself and Ione had a chat, and it was so wonderful to connect with someone who's got similar goals and similar aims to ourselves here at the Meaning of Life. So I just thought we've got to have Ione on our live shows. So welcome to the Meaning of Life Live. How are you, Ione?
I'm very well, thank you. And thank you so much for having me. Yes, it's lovely to be able to connect with people with the similar missions.
Yes, no, absolutely. How's the sun out in LA? Can you say hello to the sun from us, please?
Yeah, you're like, how is it in LA? Well, the sun's shining. It's pretty much always shining and at least 75 degrees. So yeah, it's fantastic.
Good, good. Well, it shows you the contrast. We've got to be sitting by the fire here in mid-October, so there's definitely a big difference between the climates.
Do you have one of those like the UV lights or something that kind of for people that have seasonal affective disorder? Do you need one of those?
Not quite yet, but maybe in a couple of months. Yes, absolutely. Certainly when January comes. I think in London, the build up to Christmas is a lot of fun, and then January and February, I think people could do with some of those light boxes for sure.
Yeah, it's when the times change, it's when the clocks change as well. I'm like, no, I don't like the darkness. Yeah, I will.
Great. Well, it's great to have you on the show. And I think first off, I wanted to ask you, in terms of uplifting content, and we share a lot of your content on our sites as well, what was that first driver, that first spark of inspiration that made you think, right, I really want to set up uplifting content? What was your kind of vision at the time?
Well, I've always wanted to help people in some way, and I was friends with a really wonderful human called Prince EA, who does very inspirational stuff. I was in a video with him and we connected, and he was very supportive of me, encouraging me to make videos and sort of tell my story and help people in the way that I can. And we became very good friends, and I'd asked him, what's next for you? You're doing very well. You've got everything going on. He was like, I want to help give other people the platform and the opportunity to grow their stuff. And I wanted to do the same thing. And so we started Uplifting Content last March. And so the idea was that it was going to be a production company that just makes uplifting content with a message. But he is incredibly busy. He's just got so many commitments. He's always making stuff, and it was just impossible for him to add any more to his plate. And then, just for me, I didn't have the finances or the time or the resources to completely be this one woman production house show at the time. But I also wanted to be a platform for other people and give other people the opportunity to share their stuff. And so that's why we create and share uplifting content. And so, yeah, I guess the spark came from, well, the main spark for me came from, I'm an actress and I just don't watch television. I want to watch things that put me in a good mood. I want to be inspired. I want to be uplifted. And everything on television, when it comes to watching things, I sit there on Netflix for 25 minutes not finding anything that gives me that thing that I need, which is I want something to make me feel good, something that inspires me, something that like entertains and educates and uplifts. And so I wanted to build a platform that is that, so that if anybody is going through a tough time. Also, I hate the news. All the news is just a constant bombardment of all these horrible things that's happening, and everyone's terrible and the world is an awful place. And that's not true. It's an unfair representation of humanity and what people are doing and what's going on in the world. So that really bothers me. And so uplifting content is a hub of inspiration. It is a place where you can come to be uplifted and be inspired and hear stories from amazing people that are doing incredible things. And, you know, eventually I want a good news channel or a good news show, because I feel like you can still talk about things that are happening. You know, there was the shooting in Vegas and one insane person killed, you know, so many people, and it was a horrible, horrible thing that happened. But then there were thousands of people that did all these heroic, amazing, wonderful, beautiful things. And the news just reports about this horrible, horrible tragedy, which it was, quite rightly so. But why are we not hearing the stories of the thousands of humans that did amazing things in the face of this tragedy? And that's what bothers me. You can talk about current events, you can talk about forest fires, you can talk about global warming, but talk about everyone that's trying to do something about it, because that's what inspires and empowers us. But that's not the way our media works.
Yeah, because it doesn't sell papers. Ultimately, that's what it's about. It doesn't.
Well, people say that. People say that everybody wants to hear the shock horror. But then why do channels like mine exist? Why does a viral video of somebody, you know, rescuing a puppy get millions of views? I am more strongly drawn to something that gives me an emotional connection that reminds me of humanity and love than seeing somebody, a car chase or, you know, a shootout or something. So you're right. Like that's the idea. That's the argument that, you know, good news or positive stories doesn't sell articles. That's not my experience. We're getting a lot of people being very responsive to that type of stuff. It's just no news is reporting on it. And I've had a few people say in the past, you know, it's not very interesting. I'm not talking about writing a story about a cat. I'm saying, you know, I was looking at in Vegas what happened. Just all these amazing people that have come together and done really wonderful things in Vegas. And even now, like all the stuff that's happening about gun control and all these people that are rallying and trying to get this stuff passed. That's engaging. That's powerful, and people are interested in it. It's just not talked about. Yeah. So it's a choice.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with you there. And you know, there's this phrase in journalism: if it bleeds, it leads. You know, that's the way that they kind of see it. That okay, it's a bad news story. It's going to trigger people's safety systems. So let's put it out there. But actually, there's a whole other narrative about when tragedies happen. What opportunity for growth is there for the individual and for us as a society, as a community? These challenges come so that we can go to the next stage of our evolution. And if you ask most people, if you look over your life, did you grow from the good events that happened in your life, or did you grow from the challenges that you faced? Is the challenges that really make us grow and actually take us to the next step of evolution. So I totally agree with you. Let's look at the stories, not from the negative narrative, but actually, what can we learn about ourselves from this, and how can we grow to the next stage and the next stage and the next stage? So it's a beautiful way of looking at it. So I definitely agree with your aims there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and just to go back to the Vegas thing, because it's really struck me quite a lot. You know, a lot of people are disgusted and horrified and what's wrong with the world, and all these people are really horrible. And there were so many stories that I read of people that had died protecting their loved ones, like jumping on top of their loved ones. I'm like getting emotional talking about it, so that they survived. That's humanity. Like that's the story. That is humanity. And so it's not even necessarily the positive or the negative. Only shining a light on one type of experience and neglecting to give us the experience that actually helps us and reminds us of what's important, which is the however many people that died protecting loved ones or their friend's wife, you know. Yeah.
It does make you feel emotional. It does make you feel emotional when you know, we often hear this in the vows that people might give when they're getting married. You know, I'd do anything for you, I'd die for you. But to actually see that in action is a beautiful thing. So yeah, those are the angles that we should be looking at. I'm so intrigued to kind of find out more actually about your story that brought you to this stage. Here at the Meaning of Life, we talk a lot about the hero's journey. There are a lot of people who've been called to be conscious change leaders in society, often have been through quite intensive experiences in their lives that have brought them to this point. And a lot of TV shows and movies, they talk about this idea of the hero's journey, or the reluctant hero that actually doesn't believe in themselves but has had to go through challenges and obstacles to get there and be a gift to society. So in terms of your personal story and what brought you to this stage, is there anything you'd like to share that the challenges that kind of woke you up to this journey?
Yeah, definitely. There's a guy called Donny Epstein. I was just at his workshop. He's like a wizard, an energy healing wizard man. But his thing is as well is that for transformation, there has to be suffering. That for anybody to kind of come out and like make this change in the world, suffering is a part of it. And the next stage of what he's trying to do with his work is that rather than having to go through a traumatic experience, you can draw on the suffering of the world to transform you, so that you don't have to be abused or have this hard time. So yes, I did struggle a lot growing up with depression and feeling suicidal and just hating my life and just being really, really lost. I struggled with a lot of stuff. As I grew up, I think a massive change happened when I was about 22 or something like that. I started getting into personal development and reading a lot of personal development books, and that made a huge impact for me. There were different moments where I think with awakening or enlightenment, there's just these like, it doesn't always happen as in like you just wake up one day and it's like wow, but there's stages, and there's definitely moments where I'm like, that was a huge shift for me. And so it was reading things like How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, when I realized that our actions really shape how people are, and that people want to feel respected and valued. And that when you understand that, it's not about being your ego, not about having to always have the last say and be right. I was like, wow, that's powerful. And then it was the Secret, which is all about our thoughts and how our thoughts change our reality. And I think the problem with that is that I got the idea that you just have to think positive and then all these things happen. It's not just that. First of all, you have to believe that things exist, and then you have to work your butt off and keep trying and do things. It's not just a matter of thinking. But that was really powerful. And then The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle was something that really helped me with depression more than anything else did, because that was the first time that I realized that my thoughts are not true, that I can change my thoughts. And it was the thoughts that I was having that was causing my depression and making me suffer. Thoughts like, you're not good enough, you're never going to make it, no one loves you, you're just a failure, because I'm not rich and famous, my life isn't worth living. All of these just like really horrible thoughts. And so The Power of Now taught me that that's not true, that I can change the things that go on in my mind. And so there was a huge transformation after that. And so yeah, it was struggling with my own demons, and then moving to LA to sort of pursue my passions and dreams. That's kind of what spurred me on. And for me, it's just, I see so much suffering, and it just breaks my heart, really, and it's not necessary. And so I just want to help raise people, inspire people, and just help heal in whatever ways I can.
Beautiful. I think that last point about healing is so important, isn't it? Because, as you say, there's a lot of people going through difficult times, and in our modern society, previously people would have turned to church or faith or religion to kind of help them, support them through that. In the modern world, we don't have those networks anymore, and it's important for people like yourself to kind of come forward and share their story to inspire others to heal. And that's kind of wonderful. You mentioned the work with Eckhart Tolle. A bit of research that I read recently, which was fascinating. After all the psychological research that's been done, the two things that actually cause anxiety and depression, number one was dwelling on negative thoughts and identifying with your negative thoughts, and number two was self-blame. And despite all the massive literature that's been written on psychology, ultimately the biggest issue is our negative thoughts and dwelling on them. And obviously Eckhart Tolle and so many other teachers talk about observing them rather than identifying with them. What do you personally find helps you get into that observer space to say, hey, I'm having these negative thoughts, but I'm not going to get carried away with them. I'm not going to let them overwhelm me. I'm just going to maintain that observer position, which then allows them to dissolve away. What do you find helps you there?
I mean, it's the choice. It's whether or not I want to, it's the choice of whether because first of all, you have to have the awareness. And so I know that there's people watching that still probably won't get what we're saying. And it's when you're having a thought of, I hate myself, or nobody loves me, or I'm never going to be successful in this thing. Now, people believe those thoughts. And so now I'm at a place where I can observe the thought, and I know that level of thinking, it makes me miserable. So you're saying, how do I change it? I think it's just a choice. It's an observation. Sometimes if there's a lot going on, I have to like check myself. I'll go down a pattern of that type of thinking for a while. And like right now, there's a lot going on with my business, and there's a lot of things to juggle and manage. And I'm getting very stressed out and getting very like sort of frustrated with people really easily. And again, but because I was so consumed in it, it's harder to take a step back. Normally I can check in a lot sooner than that. And so I had to message my team the other day to be like, I'm so sorry that I'm being really short with you all. It's just, there's so many things happening and it's overwhelming me. But by that point, I'd registered that that's what I was doing. And I could kind of come out of it. For example, yesterday, I live in a beautiful complex in LA, and we've got this gorgeous tree and gardens in the middle of the tree. And there's a beautiful tree in the middle of the garden. And as I walked into the sort of gardens, I noticed a sign up on the other side of the tree. And I was like, I hope that sign doesn't say that we can't sit out under the tree anymore. And then I came into my apartment, and I had all these other things going on with work. And I kept going back to the whole, because I haven't looked at the sign yet. If it says that I can't sit out under the tree, then that's where I get. And I'm having this whole kind of argument in my mind, and getting myself worked up about a sign that I don't even know what it says, about what it could potentially say. And so it just got to the point, and then I had all these other things to do, and then the sign was taking all of my attention. And so I just had to, and then I had to just stop, check myself, and be like, well, first of all, you don't know what the sign says, so there's no point in getting irate about it. Whatever it says, is whatever it says. We'll figure it out as and when it gets there. But stressing about the sign on a tree that I can't see, and then have that interfere with everything that I'm doing, is not worth it. And so how do I check out of it? I can't really say. Sometimes it's just awareness, and then it's the awareness, and then this is ridiculous, stop. Sometimes I'll just sit down, like if I can feel myself getting really angry about things. And what I've learned as well is that now, if I'm frustrated or angry, to experience that feeling and then let it go, rather than just try and annoy it. But if it's there, acknowledge it, experience it, and then move on.
And then move on. Lovely. Now, I love that idea of it's a choice. Every moment we're making a choice. Do I want to get carried away with these unconscious worries and fears, 80-90% of which will never even happen anyway? As you say, the example with the sign under the tree, it's the mind fantasizing about the worst case scenarios. And that's the nature of our mind. It's our survival instincts. But now as we evolve, we no longer need all of these kind of deep survival instincts that kind of catch on to day-to-day life. So that idea of a choice is beautiful. So it's the kind of awareness, the beingness, being with it for a moment, acknowledging it, and then really making a choice. So ABC, awareness, being with it, and then making a choice. There we go.
And a recent thing for me has been relationships as well, like a relationship with someone in the past that I thought he was my soulmate and was just so in love and we should be together, and like we're not in a relationship anymore, and that was causing me suffering. The idea that this person is like the person that it just gets me more than it was, so blah, blah, blah. All of those types of thoughts about this person. And then when I let go of, well, you're not together. What if, like, let go of the idea that he's not going to be the person that you marry and you spend the rest of your life with, that you can be happy without this person. And like, it just released so much kind of pent up stuff. And I know that a lot of people deal with that. I'm not going to be happy unless I'm in a relationship, or people desperately trying to get a partner and things like that. And it's like, let go of that story that without this person, I can't be happy, or without, these things happening. And as soon as I released it, I just instantly felt a weight lifted and just felt better. Of like, well, this is my reality. This is where I am. And I'm totally okay if I never see him again, or nothing ever happens, I'm okay with that. I can be okay with that. So
yeah, it's an ongoing process, isn't it? And just the moment that you think you've cracked it, and you think, I've got in charge of my mind, it's no longer bothering me, then another challenge comes in life to take your awareness, your acceptance, your surrender up to the next level. And I think that's it's being okay with that, because I work with a lot of people who say, I've been trying this meditation stuff for ages, but I still get angry or I still get upset. And I say, we're all work in progress. We're all challenging the thoughts in our minds. So it's beautiful to hear you to share those stories. Now, in uplifting content, you talk a lot about people being of service, developing people's ability to contribute to society in some way. I think, how do you personally feel when you're being of service? What experiences do you have as a result of the work that you do? And how can that inspire other people to kind of be part of this?
I just feel high as a kite. I absolutely love it. We've started to do contests where we're just like, partnering with brands to give people free stuff. And I love sending the email, congratulations, you've won a such and such. And then they're like, oh my God, this is the best surprise ever, thank you. It makes my day. I absolutely am high as a kite. And then, I've said this a number of times, I believe we're here to be of service to each other. And I know that as a fact, because when we do things for other people, we feel incredible. We would not feel such good feelings when we do things for others if that wasn't what we were supposed to be doing. And so for me, I just think that if everyone's kind of goal was to serve others, it would be a beautiful, beautiful world, and everyone would be very happy because they would be rewarded with incredibly good feelings for being of service to others. I love it.
We're kind of born to do it. I give the example of like sugar. Sugar's aim, its goal is to share its sweetness. And if it's not sharing its sweetness, it's not living its life purpose, not living its goal. In the same way, we're here to share some of that sweetness with others. So it's a wonderful feeling to be doing that.
And I get very pumped. I'm interviewing a lot of people who are, work for non-profits or organizations, or, I'm just, there was one guy that I interviewed last week who he's a genie. He dresses up as a genie and goes and grants wishes for people and stuff. And I just love it. I get really emotional with it as well, because I just know how good it feels and how much it means to people. And there's this beautiful woman called Orly Warber at the Kindness Boomerang, and she's all about teaching kindness and spreading kindness and stuff like that. And that's what we're here for. So, and it feels good. So do you want to do something for somebody, and you will feel great.
There we go. A simple formula for happiness is it's just being of service, isn't it, really?
Yes. And also there's a really great book called The Book of Joy by the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu. And there's a really great part in it that says whenever you're suffering or going through depression or things like that, when you put your attention on other people, it takes the stress away, it takes your focus away from whatever it is that's causing you your suffering. And then you're also feeling great for doing the thing to somebody else. So that would be, again, my advice for anyone that's struggling with something. Go and volunteer. Go and offer to help somebody. Go to an old people's home and read them some books. Go and do something for other people when you're feeling down, and it'll be amazing.
It is, because as you say, often we are so obsessed and involved with our own problems. It's our own ego feeling sorry for ourselves and look at me, poor me. When we put our focus onto other people and their needs, magically we become transformed, because we're not obsessing with those negative thoughts anymore. We're directing into something more powerful. So it's a kind of a great calling to everyone, that if you're feeling down, if you're having challenges in life, look at how you can be of service to others and see the transformation that happens.
Right.
Now, there's a beautiful story that I read on one of your blogs around your visit to South America and some of the transformations that you went through as a result of something that happened there. Do you want to share some of that story?
Yeah, so in the beginning of the year, I did a trip around South America for 3 months. I had people make suggestions on where to go and what to do on the page, and I just blindly followed a bunch of strangers' suggestions. And so sometimes it was really cool, and sometimes I would get to a place and be like, why did I not do any research on this? I don't speak any Spanish. I was on my own. It was really fantastic. But the reason that I went on that trip is 2 years ago, a dear friend of mine passed away suddenly in a car crash, and he was 23 years old. And his motto in life was live your life out loud. And he was just such a joy. And so this year has been one where I was like, you know what, stop putting off things that you've wanted to do. Like I've traveled a lot. My mum was a travel agent, so I've traveled a lot since I was young. But I hadn't really gone and done like a big, backpacking thing somewhere. I'd never really done that. South America was somewhere that I was interested in. And so I was like, let me go and try that. And so, yeah, it was just stop putting off your life, stop putting off the things that you want to be doing, find the ways to make it happen. I leveraged the page with the blog with the travel blog to make it happen and to make things happen, and was connecting with the Facebook page, and got to meet people that I connected with, and it was just really lovely and not scary, and I was ever like scared for my life or anything like that, but just what I learned as well is I'm not good at being on my own. I like being with people, and so traveling on my own was tough because I had to figure everything out myself. I would be stuck somewhere and I don't speak Spanish and my Google Translate wasn't working, and so I was like, how do I get back from this random beach in Colombia? And so there were all these sort of funny challenges, which were great and scary. But then you realize when you do something like that, you can do anything. You can do anything. Yeah. And then, when I did meet really amazing people along the way and had great just experiences. I'm all about experiences rather than actual buying things and stuff like that. And so it was wonderful, challenging and wonderful.
Brilliant. So it's been wonderful having you on our show today, Ione. It's been a really fruitful, kind of juicy discussion, and I'm sure I'd love to have you back on the show at some point early next year. It would be great to hear how things are going. Are there any final words you'd like to leave for our viewers?
Oh, put me on the spot here. I would say, do what makes you happy, live your life out loud. If you're going through tough times, surround yourself with people and content. Feed yourself and your mind and your body with stuff that inspires and uplifts and motivates you. So like uplifting content, like everything that you're doing. And that's it. Thanks.
Great. Some very wise words there. So if you want to find out more about Ione's work, you can go to her website, which is ionebutler.com. That's IONE, the spelling of Ione. I hope I've been saying it right all the way through the interview. So ionebutler.com. And obviously you can search on Facebook for the Facebook page, which is Uplifting Content. And we're playing a bit of tag team here. So Ione will be interviewing me on the Uplifting Content's website on Wednesday, the 25th of October at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 5 p.m. New York. I think 7 or 8 p.m.
New York.
Sorry?
3 p.m. New York.
3 p.m. New York. Yes, sorry, 3 p.m. New York.
8 p.m. in the UK.
8 p.m. UK. Yes, you know those ones off by heart. So she'll be interviewing me on From Fatigued to Fantastic. So that will be a really interesting conversation about how we can let go of fatigue. And one of those things we'll talk about is meditation as well. So Ione, thank you for joining us today. It's been absolutely wonderful. And I look forward to seeing you in a few weeks' time. And have a great week.
Thanks for having me. Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.